Good afternoon, everyone. So yesterday we started with budget, and I think we discussed yesterday GST. Any questions from whatever we have discussed? In taxation, GST, and some part of budget we started with yesterday. Any questions? Yeah.
In the formula of fiscal deficit, we add the total expenditure and then subtract total receipts except borrowings. So that is like, but the borrowings, they are a debt. Like while calculating fiscal, that borrowings are nowhere added in any account. Like neither revenue deficit. In the revenue deficit, they are there.
Yeah.
The point is in effective fiscal deficit, in fiscal deficit, why are the borrowings not considered? Why it is so important?
So in fiscal deficit, what are we trying to arrive at? What do we want to know by looking at fiscal deficit? How much borrowings we have taken. Sometimes we take borrowings from different sources. So how to identify, put together all borrowings only, not you can say maybe monetize the deficit or other things, only borrowings. Then what we have to do is our total expenditure minus total revenue. Total expenditure is 100 rupees. Total revenue is also 100 rupees. But in that all types of borrowings we have taken, if we exclude it, then if we subtract it, then we will get that you can say all types of borrowing. The final result we should get is all types of borrowing put together. What we don't consider as borrowing should be removed, and what we consider as borrowing will remain. So finally, as a number, we have constructed it in such a way that final number should always show total borrowings by government this year.
What is the calculation, then why are we like eliminating the borrowings? I'm not understanding.
Okay, eliminating the borrowing is before we arrive at it. 100 rupees is our you can say expenditure. Receipt is also 100 rupees. Excluding borrowing means 8 rupees is borrowing. This will come down to 92. 100 minus 92 is this 8 rupees. This here I am just you can say considering this 8 rupees is very simple. There in a 45 lakh crore budget, we have maybe 16, 17 different types of borrowings. They will add everything together, and in that it might look like you can say it is a little complex. So that to arrive at this 8 rupees easily, they have created this sort of a formula.
But it would not be reflected in fiscal deficit, right? Because fiscal deficit would show 92.
Fiscal deficit is this 8 rupees actually. Okay, here total expenditure minus total receipts minus borrowings is in this bracket. This 8 rupees is fiscal deficit.
Sir,
Yeah.
Tobin tax and security transaction tax, ये दोनों एक ही दोनों अलग हैं?
Tobin tax is a generic term. Generic means in any country wherever they are using, they will call it as Tobin tax. Just like central bank is a generic term. RBI is Central Bank of India. Securities transaction tax is you can say Tobin tax of India. So rationing of credit is generic term. PSL is India's rationing of credit. So that is generic means we have not yet implemented. This is a concept, and once we implement it, we have given it a name, and that name we have given is securities transaction tax, commodities transaction tax. This is actually both are same on different markets. Commodities market, commodities transaction tax. Securities market. Commodities means like
Tax for currency convertibility.
that is different. That is currency, forex market. Commodities is different. Commodities means we are buying and selling actual commodities, steel, cement, pulses, wheat. These are all commodities.
इसके for the quick transactions. अभी सुबह खरीदा शाम में बिक गया.
Yes. So actually it will be there on every transaction, but people who do so many transactions a single day, they will have to pay more tax, right? For every transaction if it keeps on adding up. So even for investors also it will be added, but they won't mind because it is only added once in maybe a year or two. They are doing long term type of transactions.
Can you please elaborate a little bit about social stock exchange?
Social stock exchange. It is very simple. Stock exchange you already probably know. Stock exchange means it is a secondary market. Secondary market means in simple terms you can think of it as a second hand market. Once shares are sold by a company, it will come into the hands of people. People, when they want to sell the shares, they may sell it to other people. That means like it is like OLX. You already bought it and you want to sell it to someone else. So you can list it. Somebody who is interested to buy it, they will buy it. So it is like that sort of platform like OLX or something. This is how any stock market is. All stock markets in the world operate like this. Between people. Company is nowhere involved in this. People who own shares, they are involved. You understood?
I'm asking social stock
Correct. I just am coming to that. So this is stock exchange. Social stock exchange means it is very simple. Social means some particular type of entrepreneurs called as impact entrepreneurs or companies called impact companies. They only focus on businesses which will create some sort of positive externality on society, on environment, on economy. And in India, not only in India, in many other countries, there are people who are very rich. They want to invest, but they don't want to invest in all the other type of companies. They're not investing for making more money, they already have a lot of money. So there are many people, for example, Narayana Murthy and Sudha Murthy have a fund which will focus mostly on impact entrepreneurship. So what they will try to do is they will try to invest in those type of companies who are creating only positive impacts without any negative impacts. Socially positive, environmentally positive. So consider, for example, there was a company which I saw recently. What they do is in Himalayas, in lower Himalayas, lot of pine trees have grown since British have grown them. Earlier, before British came to India, it used to be broad-leaved forests. You would have studied in geography, that is natural habitat there. But they cut down this broad-leaved forest and they started growing pine trees. Pine, they automatically started growing by themselves, and now most of southern Himalayas is dominated by these pine trees. In summers, these pine leaves are similar to needles and they dry and they fall down, and this has created huge amount of forest fires because of, you can say, all the foliage that falls down is dry. So now this company, what it is doing is, around all the small villages in these areas, they will collect these pine needles which have been shed by the trees, and they will give it to this company. They will process it into pulp and make cutlery out of it, plates, glasses, whose shelf life is maybe 6 months to 1 year. So they are replacing plastic with organic material which is biodegradable, first thing. Second, they are reducing forest fires. And third, they are providing employment to, you can say, villages in these Himalayan states where development is, you can say, scarce. You understood? You can see that in multiple angles, environmentally and socially and economically, they have created positive impact. And because of this reason, people are interested to fund them so that they can become bigger, scale up. And social stock exchange only lists those companies which have created only positive impact. If there is a coal mining company, it is creating positive impact on economy, yes, but it is creating negative impact on society because of maybe black lung disease or some other thing, and environment because of carbon dioxide emissions and sulfur, acid rain, etc. You understand? So social stock exchange will only list those companies where there are no visible negative externalities. You understood? So any other questions?
General avoidance techniques or second one, third one will be so many are coming.
Okay. GAR provisions. This second point. Last point. Responsibility of proving that main purpose of a particular transaction was not obtaining a tax benefit is on the taxpayer. Normally, in legal parlance, we have something in judiciary called as innocent until proven guilty. Burden of proof is on the, you can say, prosecution. Whoever is prosecuting, imagine a person has stolen something, then who should prove that he has stolen something? Somebody who has lost their property, they will hire a lawyer, and lawyer will show some CCTV camera or some proof to the judge, so that the judge will feel, okay, this is true, and then he will give punishment. Normally, more than 90% of the cases, this is how it works. But in 10% of the cases, where it is very difficult to prove it, and it is impossible almost for us to convict anybody, if we have that sort of burden of proof on prosecution, we change the burden of proof from prosecution to defense. That means whoever is accused, they have to prove that I have not done anything wrong. And GAR is one such case where they have to prove that they have not done anything wrong. You understood this? In polity you would have studied, judiciary, legislature and executive are elected bodies, whereas judiciary is appointed body for a reason. If elected bodies are there, they are responsible to majority who elected them. Whereas judiciary is a minoritarian institution. Judiciary's primary responsibility is to protect the minority. And here the minority is not just linguistic religious minorities, the individual who has been accused is minority compared to the society who is accusing him. So that means judiciary will take the side of the individual and assumes that he is innocent until you can prove him guilty. You understood this? So, coming to budget. So yesterday we saw Amrit Kal, that is the next 25 years, it will be called as Amrit Kal. Then this Kaushal Samman Yojana for artisans, and we want to convert them into entrepreneurs. This part also we saw. Then we were looking at inclusive development, agriculture accelerator fund. We saw difference between accelerators, incubators. So with regard to startup ecosystem also there are some things, some questions possible. I think so. In startup ecosystem, these accelerators, incubators are present. In India also they are present. What else? There is angel. As of now, how startup ecosystem works, I'll try to brief it a bit. Right now there is pre-seed funding also. That means just you have an idea, then they will give you pre-seed funding. Using that pre-seed funding, you can make an app with that or something. Once pre-seed funding is done, there is seed funding. And after seed funding, usually at every stage there is dilution of shares. Take an example, you want to start a startup with something. Consider some, earlier I think I had given an example of Uber for tractors. That means anybody who has a tractor who is not using in villages, they can list it in the app, and another person who wants to use it, they can hire it, maybe 1,000 rupees a day or something. This is pre-seed level, and from that, pre-seed means you have this idea, you ask your uncle or something, then they will give 10 lakh rupees, you will give 10% shares, because so far a company is worth nothing, but this person believed in you and gave 10 lakh, for that you gave 10% of the company. Then after that you build the app, then you will get maybe seed funding because the app is working. One risk has been removed. How company building happens is very simple. Company has unlimited amount of risks in the beginning. Every stage of company is actually removal of one type of risk. Here technological risk has been removed already, technology is working well. Then seed funding will be, people will be willing to invest. And once seed funding, imagine somebody will give you 1 crore and for that they will take 10% of the company. Already 10% is gone, this is second 10%. Then after that you actually build the app, and now you go to maybe one district, you choose a particular district somewhere in Uttar Pradesh or Haryana, and you focus only on that district, list out 1,000 people who have tractors, and you advertise this in the entire district that you can hire this tractor also. Then because if 1,000 people are listed per day, 100 people are already hiring tractors. If 100 people per day are hiring, you are getting 1 lakh rupee revenue, and out of that 20% is your profit or something. That means you can say 20,000 per day you are making profit. Right now, because seed funding has already been given and 20,000 per day you are making profit, you have numbers. That means you are showing revenue, you are showing profit, you have a clear, you can say cash flow. Using this cash flow you can show to venture capital funds. That means venture capital funds will be interested to invest in your company, to scale up this company to maybe instead of one district you can scale it up to 200 districts. Venture capitalists will say, I will give you 10 crores for 10% of your company. Already 20% is gone. This 10 crores is for the 30%. So that means you will give from venture capital, first venture capital fund that you call, it is called Series A funding, Series B, Series C, Series D, until it goes on and on. You can keep on raising funding. Every time you sell less and less of the company because company's value has increased. So here if you sell 10% at 10 crores, then 100% is worth now 100 crores. Next time you sell only 5%, next time 3%, 2%, 1%. Byju's and Unacademy, they are now raising Series Q or T or something. That means they have raised it so many times, this funding, and using that funding they keep on expanding. You understood? Pre-seed funding is usually given by an individual. Seed funding also mostly an individual, somebody who you know. They don't know about your idea but they trust you as an individual, so they are giving it. But from angel funding is also there before VC. Angel funding means revenue, it is not yet there, but other risks you have eliminated already. You are showing that it is working, people are showing interest, they are using this, all these things. So angel fund also right now is a pooled fund. Venture capital is also pooled fund. Pooled means it is not that person's money that is being invested. It is being pooled from multiple people. We saw, if you remember, in AIFs, in category 1, this angel fund and venture capital fund. So this is how startup ecosystem is working so far. In India, in Silicon Valley, in US, everywhere it is same. So in agriculture, we want to actually bring startups, because startups are, you can say, solution to many of our problems. They are able to solve problems which we have so far haven't thought of a proper solution. They have their own, original ideas, original solutions. In agriculture, most of the startups in the last 2 years have been in drone technology. Drones are capable of spraying fertilizers, pesticides and such other things. In 2 hours, what 7 men will do for, you can say, 7 days, that is 49 man days of work, a drone is capable of doing in just 2 hours. So you just rent the drone, it will be lesser than 49 man days of work, whatever you pay for that. You understand? Concern is it may create agricultural unemployment for people, agricultural labor, but it is cheaper for people who own these fields. You understood this?
The difference between the pre-seed funding and seed funding is that we have not registered the company. If we are raising the pre-seed fund, and after registering the company, in the starting we are raising the fund directly the seed fund.
Yeah, so it depends upon whoever is actually giving you the money. They will have created their own rules. There is no universal rule which will apply for when is it called pre-seed funding and seed funding. Difference is basically, like I said, we don't have a interoperable type of agreed upon difference here. Earlier we used to have only venture capital. People were interested to take even bigger risk, and angel funding came into picture. Even bigger risk, seed funding. Now pre-seed is a new concept. Pre-seed means, in startup terminology they call it as a startup which has not found product market fit. They have created a product and they have not shown, people have not yet shown interest in the product. They don't know which section of society, which section of population will find this product useful as a solution. That is, legal registration is not actually a major milestone in a startup. They can, whenever they want, they can register it. Major milestone is reduction of risks. Once we can build the app, then one risk is reduced. Once there is demand from people, another risk is reduced. So this agriculture related startups, now government of India is showing more interest, you can say, to promote this agriculture related startups so that we can solve the problems in agriculture in a much easier decentralized type of manner using normal private businesses. So this that is why we have created this whole agriculture accelerated funds, digital public infrastructure for agriculture. Clean plant program we saw with regard to horticulture. Then millet research, Hyderabad we saw. Then Matsya Sampada Yojana we saw. From agricultural cooperatives we had to continue. To fulfill the vision of Sahakar Ke Samruddhi, that means this is with regard to cooperatives, government plans to establish decentralized storage capacity. With regard to storage capacity, you have to link it back to Essential Commodities Act in India. In India, logistics is a major problem which includes storage also. Storage means we need warehouses and cold storages for storage, but in India they are not well developed. Why they are not well developed? Since the last 3 years, Economic Survey has tried to point out the same reason why they are not well developed. It is because of Essential Commodities Act. What exactly is Essential Commodities Act? It says whatever is there in the list of essential commodities, that means whatever we consider to be essential for the country, in this list of essential commodities, storage is limited. You cannot store more than this amount. If you store more than this amount, then there will be penalties by government. Why we have put this restriction? To prevent hoarding, we have put this restriction. Otherwise what happens, all these traders, they will buy huge amount of this, you can say grain, pulses or something, they will store it away somewhere, creating artificial scarcity in the market. To prevent this, we have Essential Commodities Act. So to enforce this Essential Commodities Act, what used to happen was all the revenue officials, they used to go for raids on all these cold storages and warehouses. But if they are going to raid, which warehouse would they rather raid, big one or small one? They'll mostly raid all the big warehouses, because that is where it is possible to hold this much of grain, whatever is illegal. So in India, we felt that every week somebody is coming to raid these big warehouses. Then they destroyed all the big warehouses and cold storages. They built only small ones, and anybody who is hoarding now, they will not keep all their grain in a single warehouse. They will distribute it across multiple small warehouses. So legally, we have created some sort of a disincentive for anybody to build big warehouses or cold storages, and this has led to poor development of storage capacity in India. For a country the size of India and the development level of India, you can say our storage capacity is very poorly developed, mostly because of, according to economic survey, this is the primary reason, Essential Commodities Act. If we remove it, they said storage capacity will automatically develop very quickly. Among the 3 farm bills that government proposed, this change amendment of this to make it, you can say, much more liberal, that was one of them. But like I said, we know that that was repealed. So, but right now, about 17 to 18 states have implemented, within that state, they have already implemented same thing, whatever the farm bill wanted to introduce. You understood Essential Commodities Act and how it impacted storage facilities. Right now, what they want to do is somehow bring more investment into storage, because one by one all the states are adopting these amendments to Essential Commodities Act. So using cooperatives, we want to increase this storage capacity. If we increase the storage capacity, what is the advantage? We can reduce wastage of agricultural commodities or not. When wastage is reduced, supply will increase or not. As supply increases, food inflation will reduce or not. So supply side inflation that is caused by wastage of food, logistical problems, they can be resolved. So that is the biggest advantage that will come out of this. And even there is a commodities market that we discussed. How does this commodities market work? Once grain is stored in this storage, that means in some sort of warehouse, usually they are giving now warehouse receipts. Warehouse receipt means, imagine you are a farmer, you put all your pulses in this warehouse. The price as of now is not good enough. You can sell it when you want. Until then, they will give this warehouse receipt. Using this warehouse receipt, you can use it as a collateral to bring a loan from government and grow second crop. So after this, what they did was, they said you don't need to sell the pulses, you just sell the warehouse receipt itself. It will have equivalent price as all the pulses that you have kept. You understood? So that means it is just like a bearer bond. Whoever bears this warehouse receipt, the warehouse will give the pulses to him. And then what happened? An online market was created for this warehouse receipts. All the farmers, they will keep it in the warehouse and sell it to someone. And commodities market means all the warehouse receipts will be listed online. Anybody who wants to buy, they can buy. Then a lot of people started speculating in these warehouse receipts. They will buy the pulses at, like I said, 140 rupees in the morning. In the afternoon, they will sell it at 145 rupees. You understood this? This is how commodities market works. In a commodity market, actual commodity is there somewhere in some warehouse, and they are trading, you can say, this paper, which will give you this right to get this commodity back.
Sir, in national agriculture market, like there is a provision you can sell your the produce in any part of the country. But how it is feasible for a farmer to practically sell, who is sitting in Punjab or Haryana, to selling their south, and who is going to transportation?
So selling in any part of the country, transportation has to be paid for it if you want to sell it like that. But selling in any part of the country does not need to always involve transportation. There is a type of, you can say, commodity where what they will do is they will sell the commodity. Imagine the commodity price is some 50 rupees. They will sell the commodity at 40 rupees here. The person, they can buy the commodity there. The difference amount is only settled between them. You understood this? So this sort of arrangement is also possible, but if it is nearby, within the district or within 100 kilometers, it is possible for them to transport it also.
Really benefiting the purpose for which is it created, or like is it more hypothetical?
So right now it is benefiting more of middlemen, because farmers do not have the level of awareness or ability, skill to digital literacy to be able to use all these things. But in future, we have created an entry point, and in future farmers, whoever, you can say, next generation of farmers will be able to utilize this in a better manner. So you understood Essential Commodities Act, you understood what is this warehouse and commodities market, and we want to improve these warehouses and cold storages. For that, what we are doing is we are trying to develop cooperative societies, and these cooperative societies basically you can say created by farmers, they themselves will develop the storage capacity. Storage capacity once developed, it will help the farmers themselves, and because of cooperative themselves setting it up, investment that is required will reduce from government side, from other private sector side. So that is another advantage of you can say using these cooperatives. This is related to agriculture. Coming to education and skilling, revamp teacher training via district institutes of education and training. So right now, as a part of human capital development to improve education quality, teacher training is one goal that we have you can say established. District institutes of education and training will focus on continuous training now. That means there will be some sort of training every 2 months or 3 months for teachers, consistently it will go on. That is one aspect. National digital library to be set up for children and adolescents. So that means all the children's books will be available in digital library. All the school libraries will have some sort of a link to this digital library. They can open the books from there. States will be encouraged to set up physical libraries at panchayat and ward levels also. So these are all you can see some sort of symbolic type of schemes. In reality, it might not create that much of impact because nobody actually goes to library anymore. Everything is people can open them on their phone. But maybe you can say in villages, in some areas where it is so far not easily accessible, people who are unable to afford a phone or do not have electricity connection at home, or for them it may be useful. The last 20% of the population of the country. So coming to health, 157 new nursing colleges will be established in co-location with existing medical colleges. Actually, in 2014, when new government came to power, they said that in India there is a severe shortage of doctors. So wherever there is a district hospital, we will also establish a medical college linked to that district hospital. And now what they are doing is, we will also establish a nursing college linked to that medical hospital, and you can say college and hospital both. So they are trying to create a cluster where all of them will be at the same place. You understood this? So this 157 medical colleges have been established in 2014, and an mission to eliminate sickle cell anemia by 2047 will be launched. So because of this, in general science, sickle cell anemia will become important. Read about it. You can say there is a possible question in prelims. In simple terms, sickle cell means normally RBCs, red blood cells, should look like that, but if they look like this, then this is called sickle cell anemia. If they look like this, sometimes they are easily getting destroyed. Whenever they hit some sort of wall of this blood vessel, they get destroyed. Normal lifetime of whatever blood RBC should be there, only 10-20% of lifetime they get destroyed. So this is the problem. It is a genetic problem. There is no cure. There is no prevention also for this once it is there in a person. So how are we trying to eliminate it? It will happen only when both mother and father have sickle cell gene, then children will have it. If we can avoid marriages or offsprings where both of the parents have sickle cell gene, by screening them, then we can completely eliminate sickle cell anemia. You understood this? So this is how as of now it is working. I have added some, you can say, things. What government is doing is it trying to screen. So far it has not been very good at screening because genetic screening and the infrastructure that is necessary is not yet well developed in India. But in future it will become much more cheaper, and that means you can say it is not impossible. We have kept a goal of 2047. Probably it is possible to achieve it because of technological change that will happen. Everybody understood this sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia evolved actually as a problem, as a disease in Africa. It evolved in fact as a defense mechanism against malaria. Those who have sickle cell anemia, malaria will not affect them because whatever pathogens of malaria cannot survive in sickle cell type of RBCs. And that is why you can say people who did not have sickle cell anemia, they started dying out in all the tribes, and people who had the sickle cell gene, they survived, and it got concentrated in those tribes, and so that means it became a bigger problem in existing populations. So coming to aspirational blocks, we already have aspirational districts program. In fact, many international agencies have actually praised these aspirational districts, and because of that reason, aspirational districts is also very important for prelims. Now what they are trying to do is aspirational blocks, going a level below the district and identifying wherever you can say regional inequality is present between blocks. They are trying to identify aspirational blocks. Building on the success of aspirational district program, aspirational blocks was recently launched, covering 500 blocks, aimed at improving performance of areas across multiple domains. So similar to aspirational districts, they will take particular areas, health, nutrition, education, agriculture, water resources, financial inclusion. They will give ranking for all this. Earlier they had given ranking for each district. If you are district collector of the district, your job is to improve that ranking. So you will think about in my district how to improve health, everything that is preventing this improvement of ranking, you will try to focus on it so that ranking improves. And that is how aspirational districts program was successful. Same thing they are trying to do it at block level. Which are the aspirational districts? You can see in a map of India, this is how aspirational districts look like. So what they have so far done is they have tried to send only experienced officials, more than people who have more than 15 years of experience in bureaucracy. They will only be spent to aspirational districts. Earlier before this aspirational districts, we used to have something called as BRGF, Backward Regions Grant Fund. Our solution was to put a little more money into these backward regions, but that did not help because they did not have the institutional capacity to utilize this money. So right now our solution is not giving more money, it is to make sure that we build whatever capacity is necessary to use the existing money itself in such a way results will come out. Even NGOs are also involved, Niti Aayog is involved in aspirational district program, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is strongly involved. So they are all together coming together and trying to resolve the problems of these aspirational districts. So you can see areas of focus of aspirational districts are all these. Just to you can say have some idea. I could not find without Prime Minister's picture, so I put the same thing. So next, PM PVTG development mission. PVTGs are tribal groups, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. To improve the socio-economic conditions of this particularly vulnerable tribal groups, they are trying to create a development mission. 15,000 crore 3 years. Mission will always have a deadline. Wherever you see the word mission, it simply means that along with what we want to do, there is also by when we want to do it. That is why we call it as a mission. So 15,000 crore 3 years under development action plan for the scheduled tribes. Development action plan for scheduled tribes is already there. Under this we have now created this mission. So recruit 38,800 teachers and support staff for Ekalavya model residential schools. In last year's budget also they said that we will open Ekalavya model residential schools wherever a certain amount of tribal population is present, we will make it mandatory to open it. Who are these PVTGs? Overall tribes in India, under that we have scheduled tribes, whoever are listed in this schedule are called scheduled tribes. Within that we have PVTGs, and there is a particular criteria to be called as a PVTG. Pre-agricultural level of technology, that means before agriculture we used to have hunting gathering, that type of technology if they are using, that is one. Level of literacy is low, and economic backwardness, declining or stagnant population is not increasing. Then these are the criteria based on which government declares a tribe as particularly vulnerable tribal group. What are these Ekalavya model residential schools? They started in 97-98. So basically for ST children, for you can say giving them education, this is the goal, Ekalavya model residential schools. Each school has capacity of 480 students, 6 to 12th. It is similar to Navodaya Vidyalaya. Probably many of you know about Navodaya. Similar to residential, where if it is everything is free, same thing, 6 to 12 standard. Grants are given for construction of schools. By the year 2022, every block with more than 50% ST population and 20,000 tribal persons, we should have this EMRS. This is the goal. And so by 2022 we could not achieve it. So that is why in this year they have given extra budget for this Ekalavya model residential schools. Focus is along with education, preserving local art and culture besides providing training in sports, skill development. So that means whatever is you can say that particular tribe's aspect of education, their traditional knowledge, all these things will also be included in, you can say, this model residential schools for tribes. Then water for drought prone region, Particularly they have chosen only one area in this budget. In the drought prone central region of Karnataka, central assistance of 5,300 crores will be given to Upper Bhadra project, providing sustainable micro irrigation and filling up of surface tanks. So what is this upper? This is the, you can say, central Karnataka region where it is actually being built. A Bhadra reservoir is being built. So this Tungabhadra river is the river on which it is being built. So this is also important in geography. It flows through states of Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. It used to be named as Pampa. It is a merger of the rivers Tunga and Bhadra. That is why it is called as Tungabhadra. Origin, both Tungabhadra rivers are originating in eastern slopes of Western Ghats. Probably in geography you would have seen there is western slopes. All the rainfall that happens, it will go back. Eastern slope is whatever remaining amount of rain that actually passes through this Western Ghats and comes, that is eastern slope of Western Ghats. Tungabhadra flows east, joins Krishna and drains into Bay of Bengal. So other Hampi is also available. I mean it is built on this particular river. Major tributary is this part. This is factual aspect. You can go through it. So this is what I meant when I said spin off from budget. This is how questions are being asked. There will be lot of questions like this, but people will not recognize it, that it is linked to whatever has happened in the budget. Then increase in capex for infrastructure. So this third pillar is infrastructure and investment. Capex means capital expenditure. Yesterday we saw in fiscal policy. What is the meaning of capital expenditure? So capital expenditure means some assets or liabilities, some change is happening, that is capital expenditure. Capital investment outlay increased for third consecutive year. That means in the last 3 years we have increased in consistently how much capital expenditure we are spending. Because what type of policy are we following in the last 3 years? Expansionary policy. We are trying to get out of COVID crisis, so that means we are in a expansion. So this year we have increased it by 10 lakh crores, to 10 lakh crores, making it 3.3% of GDP. So effective capital expenditure is budgeted 13.7 lakh crores. Effective means we have given some grants to states for their capital expenditure also. If you add up all the money as whatever is capital expenditure in the country, then it is around 13.7 lakh crores. Center, whatever it has given grants to states, it will be revenue expenditure for center, because that is not a, you can say, it will not be added into capital account of center, capital expenditure of center. So this part we have seen how we are calculating effective revenue deficit. The concept is similar. Then support to state governments for capital investment. It has decided to continue 50-year interest-free loan to state governments for 1 more year. So they are giving this 50-year interest-free loans. There is a clear criteria where they have to spend this money. They can only spend it for infrastructure development, like for example roads or schools or such other things. They have a long list. We don't need to know that list. We should only know that central government is giving extension of this 50-year loan. Extra money is being given now. That means for states as a 50-year loan. Total outlay is 1.3 lakh crores for this purpose. Then urban infrastructure development fund will be established. In the name itself it is there. What will this fund be used for? Urban infrastructure development fund means will focus on building urban infrastructure. What type of infrastructure is important in urban areas? We are talking about maybe sewage treatment plants, flyovers, roads, underpasses. All these type of infrastructure is you can say urban infrastructure. So earlier we saw that every bank has to give PSL, and bank has to give 40% of A and BC as PSL. In a village it may be possible to give 18% to agriculture. Imagine a bank in Delhi. In old Rajendra Nagar nobody is taking agriculture loans. That means how will they be able to achieve 40% PSL? It is a problem or not? So in all these cases where a bank is unable to achieve this PSL, you can see it will be through shortfall of PSL. Whatever money is there, this money has to be put into this UIDF fund. You understood this? So that money will be given to UIDF. They will use this money for, you can say, building urban infrastructure. So it will be managed by National Housing Bank, will be used by public agencies to create urban infrastructure in tier 2, tier 3 cities. And 10,000 crore on a yearly basis will be allocated for this particular purpose. That means central government in its budget is giving budgeted expenditure of 10,000 crores. Remaining money will come from PSL shortfall. Using both of them they will build urban infrastructure. So, next, reducing compliances and Jan Vishwas Bill. What is the meaning of compliance? Complying with the laws, or you can say following the laws of the you can say government is called as compliance. Reducing compliances means, so far to increase ease of doing business we have removed a lot of compliances, and now also we are continuing the same process. Earlier too much of regulatory burden was present on businesses. They were spending so much of money just to follow all the rules of government. Now what we have done is made it a little easy for following these rules, enhancing ease of doing business. 39,000 compliances have been reduced, so 3,400 legal provisions decriminalized. They in fact removed a lot of laws itself. Probably 3,000 laws have been removed under Repealing Act. So Repealing Act 1, 2, 3 I think they have passed. All the old British era legislation which is no longer, you can say, applicable to, it is not relevant to present day. They have removed all those acts which were there. It is like a cleanup of all the old laws and rules, regulations which is no longer suitable. So to further the trust-based governance, government introduced Jan Vishwas Bill to amend 42 central acts. Fines have been converted to penalties. What exactly does that mean? So fine means there is court prosecution necessary. Imagine for drunk driving there is a fine. For jumping a red signal there is penalty. That means, imagine if you are caught drunk driving, police cannot collect the fine from you. You have to go to court and pay that fine. But if it is you are not wearing helmet or something, police himself can collect. That is called as penalty. You understood this? Fines have been converted to penalty means you don't need to go to court, and usually there is an apology that you have to give to judge and then you have to pay the fine. All this process has been removed, you can pay the fine directly. So this is the meaning of fines converted to penalties. Means no court prosecution, imprisonment has been removed from many offences also. So whatever were criminal offences, we have made them as civil offences, removing imprisonment from this, you can say. So here what exactly are we trying to achieve? What is the goal here? Ease of doing business. Ultimately we want to make it easier for anybody who wants to do business in India. That is basically the goal. So coming to digital initiatives, Centers for Excellence for AI, to realize the vision of make AI in India, they are trying to create centers for excellence and make AI work for India. Make AI in India means we want to develop AI within India, and we want to use AI for development of India also, as a user and as a developer. So 3 centers of excellence for AI will be set up in top educational institutions. This is, you can say, about center of excellence. But what exactly does it mean when we say center of excellence according to government? These are the characteristics, you can say, that will be followed by center of excellence. Innovation Entrepreneurs Hub, indigenous design, we have to develop our own, you can say, design within that center of excellence. Intellectual property means we have to create patents, designs, trademarks within the center of excellence. Standardization, testing, support, technology guidance, knowledge and skills management. This is what government has given in center of excellence in its report, what is considered as center of excellence. So we are trying to create it for AI. Creating car safety. So yeah, okay, like Euro norms in India, we have created Bharat stage norms.
No, I am asking for the car safety rating.
That I am not sure. You are asking about center of excellence. Which center of excellence is responsible for car safety norms? So that I am not sure about which center of excellence is responsible. Car safety norms overall in India are relatively, you can say, poor compared to other countries. Because in India people are price sensitive, not safety sensitive. If somebody makes safest car in India, nobody will buy it. Cheapest car probably, you can say, they will buy it. In fact, India cannot export its cars to Europe. Nobody is importing them because they will do crash tests of cars. When they do crash tests, they will keep some mannequins and see how many of them are breaking their bones. In European car, one person will break some bones. In Indian car, not a single person is surviving. They are not importing Indian cars because in India people don't give importance to safety. We are not making cars which are safe. You understood? So this is in export terminology. This is called as technical barrier to trade. In WTO, Technical barrier means they have imposed regulations saying that if a car is only this much safe, we will import it. So we are not able to export Indian cars. This is a technical barrier to trade for Indian exports. Next, coming to National Data Governance Policy. To facilitate innovation and research by startups and academia, national governance policy will be brought out. It will create access to anonymized data. What does it mean? Anonymization means they will change the name, gender, age, phone number, all these type of things. Maybe you can say personal data is all randomized, anonymized. They will know that it is not actually a name of a real person, but because all the remaining data is same, they can run their algorithms, they can do data analysis on this part without knowing each individual's identity. So by allowing this, by opening this data, because government has collected huge amount of data since many years, all this data, if it becomes available to startups, will it be useful to them or not? By understanding Indian consumer pattern, usage patterns, they will be able to create, you can say, a lot of value for people. So that is National Data Governance Policy.
So like the center is also going to get like a lot of money for that purpose because selling the data is
Correct. So once we don't know whether they will charge money for this or not, it is left to them, but they can charge.
because I've seen it like during the like whenever any fest is going to get organized like in the college days, the companies they demand such things like regarding the details of the students.
Okay,
And
that is,
they provide like the sponsorship from their college like this.
that was how earlier it was possible, now it is not legal, because that details of students which they are giving is personal data and that cannot be sold now. After Puttaswamy judgment and similar to GDPR rules, we have created our own data protection rules, and since then it is not possible to do it. But there is anonymization, or even one more thing is they will remove all personal data and only create remaining whatever part of data is, that sort of, you can say, data is also allowed. That means you can share that data, but you cannot share wherever an actual phone number, person's name, email ID, these things are there, it is not legal. So they are creating a national data governance policy. This is one more thing. DigiLocker for data sharing. So already DigiLocker is present for individuals. Probably some of you are already using it also. DigiLocker means instead of holding actual physical documents, you can install that app and all your documents will come there. If traffic police stops you, you can open the DigiLocker and show that license, Aadhaar card, PAN card, everything will be there. There is no need to hold all these documents with you. That is actually DigiLocker for people. No, this DigiLocker will be available even for MSMEs, large businesses, whatever government documents they need to hold, everything will be available in the DigiLocker itself. No need to hold physical copies of documents everywhere. So that is basically what they have done is, along with individuals, even entities, these entities are called legal persons. Legal persons means they are not a biological human being, not a biological person. Legally, they will be treated as if they are persons. Trusts, companies, corporations, all these are legal persons. You understood? So, storing and sharing documents online securely whenever needed with various authorities, regulators, banks, other business entities. This is what is the change that they have done. DigiLocker was earlier available only for people, now available also for other legal persons. Then resolving disputes. For this, we had earlier already created this Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. That means wherever disputes are present, imagine in tax disputes, imagine government has claimed that some person has to pay 200 crores tax, but he is claiming I have to pay only 80 crores tax. Now there is a dispute. When there is a dispute, they will go for a tribunal, and in tribunal it takes years together. It is a waste of government's time and resources, this person's time and resources also. And how much actually is wasted if you see, the difference between how much he has to pay and how much government should collect out of this in this example is 120 crores. But how much they are spending to resolve this dispute in the next 10 years is probably 100 crores. That means finally even if government wins, it loses 100 crores. You understood this? So that means we realized that resolving these disputes quickly is much more beneficial than dragging them on for years. That is why they brought out this Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. They said, see, if we withdraw the case right now, we will reduce the tax by half. That means no need to have dispute. Instead of paying 80 crores, we have claimed 200 crores earlier, we will reduce it to 100 crores. You understood this? So that there is no need for resources of government being tied up and tribunals being tied up and this person's money also being tied up. That is not useful for anyone. So this is what they introduced in the beginning, Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. Less stringent contract execution for MSMEs. being provided as a relief of for the MSMEs affected during COVID period. Wherever MSMEs were not able to uphold contracts with government, earlier government had authority to actually impose penalties on them, but they are not imposing penalties because of COVID they were not able to uphold these contracts. Easier and standardized settlement scheme enabling faster settlement of contractual disputes of government and government undertakings. That means they have created different summary procedure. Instead of going through all the rules, following every single rule, summary procedure means faster process of resolving this dispute wherever contract violation has happened. So that is this standardized settlement scheme. Then phase 3 of e-courts will be launched for effective administration of justice. What is this e-court and phase 3 of e-courts? You can see phase 1 of e-courts is initiating ICT implementation in judicial system. In the court itself they will introduce computers and workflow management, a case going from this stage to this stage to this stage, everything will be available, you can say, in the computer. Second, coordinate ICT infrastructure for the judicial system. That means this is initiate means this is starting. Coordination means now this e-court will be linked to e-jails also. During COVID it was difficult for bringing this person from the jail to the court without social distancing, everything. So what they did was they just kept a video camera in the jail and they did video conferencing type of court session. So that is coordination with other stakeholders. Lawyer was sitting in his home, judge was sitting in his home, and this person is sitting in jail, and you can say in Zoom session they did the entire court session. So this is, you can say, only possible if we have already some infrastructure in place. So that is coordination. Then now what we are trying to do is end-to-end ICT. From starting form filling to execution and all administrative activities, ICT coverage, that is what we are starting now in stage 3 or phase 3 of e-courts. You understood this? So this is basically meaning of e-courts. Similarly, e-jails is also present. E-jails is not that complicated. They are just going to link it to internet and all video cameras, and directly they can, you can say, monitoring by superiors whoever are in charge of penal administration and also court coordination, all these things will be available if there is, you can say, institutional linkage. Then fourth pillar is unleashing the potential. For this, first they have spoken about 5G technology. 100 labs for developing applications under 5G services will be set up in engineering colleges. So that means people can do some tinkering by themselves, identify where all it is possible to create a new application in this using 5G. These labs will cover among others applications like smart classrooms, precision farming, intelligent transport systems. So smart classroom, everybody understands. These are very simple. Imagine I am asking a question. Right now you will directly answer. Instead of that I can say how many of you say yes, and you will have some sort of a device, you can say, or in app now already apps are there. If you click yes, then the poll will come on the board with some sort of graph or something. So this is, so far this is smart classroom. In future maybe there may be more advanced aspects also. Precision farming, everybody knows what is precision farming. What does it mean? Precision means, so ultimate objective is increasing productivity. To increase productivity, all the variables are precisely controlled. How much moisture should be there in the soil? If moisture reduces, a sensor detects it and a little bit of sprinkling of water is done. And whenever it is enough, it will stop automatically. We don't need to do anything in the middle. And when it is seeding, it will identify what is the exact amount of distance between two seeds. And only at that distance, because we don't want to waste the land by increasing distance, we don't want to reduce productivity by decreasing distance. From seeding to harvesting, on which day, 93rd day if we harvest, we will have maximum productivity. Then only on that day they will harvest. If we add precision in every variable of agriculture from seeding to harvest, how much water, how much pesticide, how much fertilizer, and what should be the distance between each fertilizer application, all these aspects, then that is what we call as precision farming. What is the advantage of this? Saving resources, maximum, you can say optimum utilization of resources, maximum productivity, reduction of wastage of time and wastage of money, resources. So this is basically the meaning of precision agriculture.
Mostly practiced in that aquaponics.
Mostly practiced in
Aquaponics.
aquaponics. Yeah, it is easier to practice it in aquaponics, but in other countries they are using even large machinery to do it, robots and others to use it even on normal field also. So recently even apple orchards in Himachal Pradesh, they are also using a lot of this precision farming also. Intelligent transport systems also, in Mysore, NITI Aayog has identified you can say public transport in Mysore project as a model project for other you can say cities to follow. Intelligent transport system means where the next bus or next train is going to come, where is it and how, when will it arrive, and where you have to stand for this particular bus, everything. There is an app like Uber, for example, your cab is arriving in 2 minutes. Similar public transport also, when it is arriving, how full is it, so will you have space in it, when it will arrive to the destination, everything will be available, so that people can take better decisions instead of wasting their time. So this sort of intelligent transport system can also be created you can say in other cities. So this is one application. There may be many other such use cases where people will find it you can say more valuable. Then healthcare apps. For healthcare, preventive healthcare and curative healthcare, different types of applications are present. Using 5G technology, we can you can say introduce new things which so far have not been possible, because 5G you can see it will have a lot of advantages like this. Latency is much lesser. Connection density means even if so many people are trying to connect to the internet at the same place, still it is now possible. Earlier it was you can say somewhat, it used to create intermittent connection, it used to break in the middle, but now it is not a problem. So throughput is increased, the efficiency has increased, traffic capacity, network efficiency, everything has increased in this 5G. This is the advantage of 5G. So 5G rollout is already you can say in process. I think most of you are already using this 5G also. But right now what we are doing is utilizing already existing bandwidth in 5G to create new type of apps. For that, in engineering colleges we have set up some labs so that students can create new apps. That is this budget, in budget what they have done. Next, green growth. National Green Hydrogen Mission has been created with an outlay of 19,700 crores. What is the meaning of this green hydrogen? Hydrogen produced from renewable energy. So this hydrogen, why we came up with this National Green Hydrogen Mission is, in India we are trying to go for a renewable energy push. Everybody knows renewable energy, solar energy, wind energy, etc. But the problem with renewable energy is, there is one big problem. We will produce too much of renewable energy sometimes. When the wind is blowing fast, or you can say when it is sunny in a summer, we create a lot of energy. But the problem is, we don't have enough battery technology so far to be able to store the extra energy produced. If we don't have that, then all this energy is wasted. So right now, the other countries are trying a lot of other things, how to you can say store this energy. For example, in USA, in Hoover Dam, what they are doing is they are pumping this water into a bigger tank. That means whenever you can say they are producing extra energy, and after that when they need energy, they will again this water comes out, runs the turbine and generates electricity. But this will only give them 15%, 20% efficiency after so many times of conversion. So right now, one of the solutions we have found is, when we have extra electricity produced through green sources without fossil fuel, we should use this and somehow store it. Right now we don't have any technology to store this amount of electricity. So what can we do with it? We can use this electricity to hydrolyze, or you can say split this hydrogen and oxygen into two separate atoms, and hydrogen will be used as hydrogen fuel. Oxygen maybe for COVID, oxygen cylinders or something they can use, whatever it is. So that means hydrogen here is used as a fuel. And how this hydrogen is produced? Green hydrogen means it is produced with surplus electricity generated when extra production of you can say renewable energy happens. You understood? This green hydrogen was created as a solution for energy storage, and that is basically the problem that it is solving. We are unable to store the energy, that is surplus energy produced through renewable electricity. And so renewable energy has other problems also. One is intermittence. Intermittence means we will not generate same amount of electricity every day. Sometimes it is very high and sometimes it is very low. So we need grid stability. For that we are investing in ancillary grid infrastructure to stabilize the grid. Suddenly if it increases peak and if it goes down, then also you can say it should stabilize. That is intermittence. And where it is produced and where it is used also is not the same place. I mean, we are producing it maybe you can say somewhere near the ocean. These windmills are running near offshore or somewhere on a mountain or a hill, but we are using it elsewhere. We have to transport it. And also the time also, during somewhere in the afternoon they are producing more electricity, but people use electricity in India, the peak is around 7 p.m. when everybody is watching TV serials, switching on the fan and everything at the same time. That is actually the peak consumption demand. But between, you can say 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. how to store this electricity is, you can say, a problem. There is no easy way to store it. You understood? These are the problems. One of the problem is storage, and to store electricity we have created this green hydrogen.
So, like in the 5G is the topic you discussed. In 5G, there are two concepts, like using the already existing infrastructure and creating new. So, like there are like two separate names for that thing. So, I am not able to recall what was that.
Okay, using existing infrastructure, it is, I think you are talking about investment. If you are investing in existing one already, it is called brownfield investment.
No, that's like a brownfield and greenfield is like totally something common.
That is with regard to investment, yeah.
But like separate name was provided for that, I think standalone or something.
Okay, that I am not sure. What if there is a particular term used, I am not sure about it.
Reliance is going to create already new infrastructure and Airtel is going to use the already existing infrastructure.
Okay, that I don't know exact. I mean, if I look at it, maybe I'll be able to recall it. I don't recall the term exactly if they have used any particular term. So we are looking at National Green Hydrogen Mission. Everybody understood what is green hydrogen. We have started this mission to make sure that extra electricity produced through renewable energy will be stored. So facilitate transition of the economy to low carbon intensity, reduce dependence on fossil fuel imports. In India, I told you that 80% of oil is imported, only 20% of the oil is produced within India. We want to reduce it as much as possible. If we convert to electric vehicles and produce more electricity through, you can say, renewable energy, hydrogen or something, then we can shift towards lower imports of fossil fuels. Make the country assume technology and market leadership in the sunrise sector. Sunrise sector means sectors which are, you can say, they are beginning right now and they are going to become very big in future. For example, technology sectors, 3D printing, AI based technologies, and even this sort of hydrogen fuel cells. All these are, you can say, sunrise sectors. Target is to reach an annual production of 5 million metric tons by 2030. This is, you can say, green hydrogen. Here you can see it is being produced. Whatever green energy surplus B is used, it is used to split this oxygen and hydrogen. Hydrogen is stored and then it is being used as fuel for, you can say, households, etc. It is green. So far we have only seen green hydrogen, that is renewable energy source. So using that we are producing electricity. But there are other color codes of hydrogen also. If it is brown hydrogen, we are producing it through coal or lignite. If we are producing electricity through coal and that electricity used to split this water atom into hydrogen, oxygen, then there is no use of, you can say, that is called brown. Grey is natural gas, blue is non-renewable energy source, and turquoise is methane. So you can see there are different color codes for different types of hydrogen. This type of prelims question is also possible. So that's why I have just added it. Right now our focus is only on green hydrogen. So next, Gobardhan scheme. 500 new waste to wealth plants. Gobardhan means basically waste, we are converting it into wealth. It will be established to promote circular economy. 200 compressed biogas plants and 300 community cluster based plants will be created. 5% CBG mandate. CBG means compressed biogas. I think somewhere here I have given about this biogas. You can see this, whatever we get here is biogas. So we take animal manure, crop, food waste, everything, and we will do some sort of, you can say, it is a bioreactor where some microbes are going to digest all this waste and they will create this biogas, and remaining part refuse is used as fertilizer. This biogas can be converted into biomethane or it can be directly converted to electricity or heat. So if we convert it into biomethane, we can use it as if like a normal cooking fuel or car fuel, etc. This is also called as RFD, refuse derived fuel. Refuse derived means it is coming from waste. So that is what it is called as. RFD is a big category. Anything that comes out of waste is refuse derived fuel. 5% CBG mandate means Anybody who is marketing natural gas biogas, they have to procure this 5% CBG, they have to mix it. Just like we have for petrol, we want to mix ethanol, 20% blending, we want to increase blending, as of now it is 10%, we want to increase it to 20%. Everybody knows about ethanol blending. In petrol, we have 10% blending. Using sugarcane, we create this, we produce it through molasses method, extra ethanol is produced. Ethanol is exactly same alcohol, we can add it to petrol engines up to 20% without engine modification. If you want to add extra, then you do need different type of engine, but using existing engine itself, you can add up to 20% ethanol. Similarly here, 5% CBG mandate means we will mix CBG with existing biogas or normal natural gas itself. By doing this, what is the advantage? If you mandate that you have to use 5% CBG only, that means this compressed biogas. There will be demand for, some people will be interested to open this sort of digesters or not. They will invest in this because somebody is always willing to buy biogas because government has mandated you have to buy 5% biogas. You understand? In whatever biogas they are selling, in whatever methane they are selling, 5% mix of biogas should be there. So that means it is creating market demand, and because of this demand, many people will invest here. Because many people are investing, all the recycling of waste is going to happen. And that is why you can say government has mandated this 5%. So then what is exactly circular economy? Linear economy and circular economy. Linear economy means this is take means you extract the resource, make something out of it, manufacturing, use, dispose, pollute. That means imagine a plastic bag. We are going to take that plastic bag, take plastic pellets, make plastic bag, use it, dispose it, and this plastic bag pollutes the environment. Plastic bags shelf life or use life across the world, average lifetime of a plastic bag in humans' hands is 7 minutes. But how much time it takes to decompose is 400 years. So far, not a single plastic bag that was manufactured has been decomposed because plastic is known for us only since 100 years, whereas each plastic bag takes 400 years to decompose. You understood? So we realize that this sort of, you can say, linear economy is not going to be sustainable. To make it sustainable, we have to create, you can say, half of it is, you can say, not visible. This is, you can say, reuse, remake, recycle. After take, we will try to use, reuse, remake, recycle, again use. That means we will try to use it in a different form, or you can say, in India, even for plastic bags, we have a circular economy. People will, there is in every kitchen, there is a cabinet for plastic bags. India is actually increasing the average of use time of these plastic bags. Otherwise, in the world, they will use it only for 4 minutes or something. So that means circular economy means we will try to reuse it. Imagine iron. Iron can easily be melted in a furnace and reused. Steel can be reused. Aluminum can be same. All these materials, glass can be reused. There is no use of putting it in a landfill. If we can reuse it, then why should we dispose and pollute the environment? This is called as circular economy. You understood? Even e-waste, we can extract it from the circuit and we can, you can say, reuse it. Right now the circuits are designed in such a way extraction is very costly, but we can mandate the design of the circuit itself in such a way that extraction will become cheaper. It means design of circuit itself, it will change. If it change, which is amenable to circular economy, then it will be much easier in future or not. So this is the meaning of circular economy, and there is a concept called as decoupling related to circular economy. Circular economy is in use in the last 2 years consistently. Probability of question is high. So if any textbook you are reading about circular economy, you can mark it as important. In any textbook if there is that chapter. So with time you can see decoupling means, as of now, if we have to increase GDP, then environmental pressure also is increasing as GDP increases because we are in a linear economy. Decoupling means cutting off the link between GDP increase and environmental pressure. GDP increase should happen, but environmental pressure should not increase, or at least it should not increase equally as of now. In future we can think about reducing or completely cutting off the link. You understood? Decoupling, relative decoupling, GDP increase, environmental pressure also increase, but at a lower rate. This is called relative decoupling. GDP is increasing, but environmental pressures are decreasing because we are not creating any new pressures, environment is healing itself. That is absolute decoupling. So in the long run, this is what we are aiming at, but currently at least we can settle for relative decoupling, where every subsequent year we have less and less environmental damage that we are creating. So this is meaning of relative and absolute decoupling. So similarly, there are other types of decoupling. This decoupling concept was created by World Bank. It is also there in news. You can see this is here resource decoupling means there is no actually need for increasing the use of resources for a person to feel sense of well-being. As of now, it is as if you use more resources, buy more resources, then only you will find a sense of well-being. That decoupling is resource decoupling. Well-being decoupling, resource decoupling is actually with regard to economy. Well-being decoupling is people should not, find their well-being in buying more resources. Resource decoupling means economic GDP increase need not happen only by use of more resources. Consider, for example, metaverse. If we create metaverse in future and the products are bought and sold within this metaverse, all the extra product production is not going to create extra carbon dioxide. Whether you create any product, don't create same amount of carbon dioxide by a server is released. So that means there is decoupling there or not. So service sector based economy in future, which does not require extra, you can say, materials, extra raw materials, that is, you can say, that is resource decoupling. You understood the meaning of this. We want to increase economic activity, we want to increase well-being, but we don't want to increase use of resources. We want less resources, but more economic activity, more well-being. So this is impact decoupling. You can see we already saw economic activity will increase. Whatever we saw absolute here, it is similar. That means economic activity is increasing, but environmental negative impact has completely become zero. Then that is what we call as impact decoupling. So next, natural farming will take after break. Welcome back, everyone. We are looking at budget pillar number 5, that is green growth. Any questions so far? No questions. So coming to 5th pillar, Bharatiya Prakritik Kheti, Bio Input Resource Centers.
We are going to discuss the recent schemes as well, like the recently launched by the government that are relevant from the part of the government.
Whatever is there in budget economic survey, these schemes I am discussing. Remaining schemes, I think Shashank sir will discuss separately schemes itself as a, I think, subpart. So, in that it will be covered. Yeah.
Sir, the concept of decoupling. So, currently, the growth and environmental cost is coupled together.
Correct.
And we are planning to decouple it.
Correct, yeah. Right now, if growth happens, environmental degradation also happens. That means they are coupled together. What we want to do is decoupling. That means removing the link between the two. Over the next 3 years, center will facilitate 1 crore farmers to adopt natural farming. So 10,000 bio input resource centers will be set up, micro fertilizer and pesticide. What exactly is this natural farming? In PIB, whatever they have given the meaning exactly of what natural farming, same thing I have given. It is a chemical free farming system rooted in Indian tradition. So you can see the meaning here. What exactly will they do is, they will try to use local materials, natural materials, remove all synthetic type of materials from agriculture. You can see major stress is on biomass mulching. Anybody knows what is the meaning of mulching? Covering the soil so that moisture is preserved. You can say there is a biological, microbiome is created within the soil. Moisture also will be preserved. So on-farm cow dung, urine formulations will be used. Soil aeration, exclusion of synthetic chemical inputs. This is the meaning of natural farming. It encourages biodiversity, supports animal health and welfare also, because they will not be affected by all the chemicals that we will add to the soil. Discourage algal blooms. Normally algal bloom you would have seen in an environment. In India, there is overuse of fertilizer, especially urea is cheap. So because of this reason, they are overusing urea. And the most common type of irrigation in India is flood irrigation. Means they will just flood the field with water, then they will remove the water. If you add a lot of urea and flood the field with water, what happens to this urea? It will get dissolved in the water and runs off into the small stream. Stream goes into river, and in the river and in the ocean also it will create algal bloom. It is a nitrogen fertilizer. Nitrogen is a limiting factor for, you can say, this aquatic biome. And when you add more nitrogen, more amount of algae is created. This creates harmful algal blooms. So when we use only natural materials, this sort of algal blooms can be avoided. This is called as eutrophication. You would have seen in environment. Algal bloom happens and it will cover the entire surface of water. Sunlight will not reach in and it leads to death of all the organisms. Fish kill happens inside the water. Supports water conservation and water health also because of mulching and such. Discourages environmental exposure to pesticides, chemicals. Builds healthy soil. Soil usually should have a crumb structure and a proper microbiome within it. Soil itself is a resource and we need to preserve it. If we keep on adding only synthetic pesticides and fertilizers, this crumb structure will get destroyed. And it is very difficult, it will take decades together to restore the quality of soil back to normal. That is why we are trying to shift towards natural type of farming. Combating erosion, fighting the effect of global warming. These are all, you can say, basics of natural farming. Right now what we are trying to do is set up 10,000 bio input resource centers, so that these resource centers will provide whatever all bio inputs which are alternatives to chemical, synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. So that we can, you can say, make it easier for farmers to shift towards this sort of natural farming. Next, coming to pillar 6, youth power. Amrit PD. Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, everybody knows what is Kaushal is skills. Kaushal Vikas Yojana means we are trying to improve skills. On-job training, industry partnerships. Industry partnerships means between universities and industry they will create some sort of a link, so that there is some Universities, students will go to industry to understand what their requirements are and develop the necessary skills. New age courses, all the newly required skills like AI, robotics, mechatronics, 3D printing are also added into this, you can say Kaushal Vikas Yojana 4.0. There is a continuous upgradation of this Kaushal Vikas Yojana over a period of time. Original Kaushal Vikas Yojana was only for blue collar jobs when we created them. Slowly we have added, expanded it, and we focused on recognition of prior learning. If some students have learned by apprenticeship or within their family business or something, then we will test them and recognize their learning and give certificate for that also. Now we have added these new type of industry partnerships and extra skills also. These are all upgradations that happened over a period of time once this, you can say, new scheme was introduced. Skill India digital platform, expanding digital ecosystem to enable demand-based formal skilling, linking with employers and facilitating access to entrepreneurship scheme. So this is very simple. We have created a digital platform. They can do digital skilling itself, and also they can link with whoever is an employer. Once they are skilled, they will be certified on the digital platform. If somebody wants to employ them, they can search for these people who are certified and directly recruit them. And if they want to become entrepreneurs, the resources that are necessary for that also will be available on the digital platform, linking it to entrepreneurial platforms also, like Startup India platform, etc. Apprenticeship promotion scheme. So to provide stipend support to 47 lakh youth, apprenticeship, everybody knows what is apprenticeship. What does it mean?
Making the person to learn something related to working skills.
Apprenticeship mostly works in industry and manufacturing. People will work in the factory and learn the necessary skills there for about 6 months. We have a separate National Apprenticeship Act where some salary, minimum basic stipend has to be given for these apprentices. So this is what we call as apprenticeship. 47 lakh stipend support, government will provide, you can say, some support to this industry. So industry will provide this stipend to, you can say, students who will go for this apprenticeship. Boosting tourism, 50 destinations to be selected and developed as complete package for domestic and foreign tourists. So tourism promotion is one of the major goals in Amrit Kaal itself. So that means it is going to be a continuing theme for the next 25 years, tourism promotion, both foreign tourism and domestic tourism, both you can say secular tourism and religious tourism. We have all these themes, you can say, integrated into tourism as a package. In future we are going to promote it. Earlier we had created Hriday and Prasad as tourism schemes, where we will try to focus on Hriday is developing infrastructure. There is a full form, I don't remember, it is old scheme now, but developing necessary basic infrastructure, providing 25 basic facilities like hotels and toilets and proper boards and signage and roads for, you can say, people to visit that tourist place. Similarly, Prasad is for religious tourism, for infrastructure and religious tourism. Hriday and Prasad were tourism boosting initiatives earlier that we have taken. Setting up of unity malls in state capitals. In previous budgets, we have spoken about, you can say, this one district, one product. In each district we will choose, okay, in this particular district this product is famous and we are going to popularize that product. And this one district, one product will also be advertised in railway station, one station, one product. So in every railway station in that particular district, whatever railway station is there, we will have a stall of that particular product. Imagine Nagpur is famous for oranges, they will, you can say, set up a stall of this. Some Banarasi silk is famous, then they will set up silk sari shop or something like this. So this way people will also easily be able to buy it. Even people who are travelers, they will be able to buy from those shops, you can say, in the middle. This provides opportunity for marketing and sales both. This brand will develop that in this district this is very famous, not only in India, abroad also, over a period of time. Now what we want to do is, along with that already whatever was there, even GI also was there. GI is geographical indicators. So if something unique is present in a particular geographical area they are producing, they will view geographical indicator. It is also a intellectual property, like for example patent and trademark, etc. Under GI of India Act, they will give GI. So now what we will do is, in the state capital, in that state, whatever GI products are there and whatever districts, one single product, whatever they have to promote, everything will be, you can say, sold in that one particular unity mall in the state capital. So in every state in the capital city, they will set up this unity mall. All the state specialized products will be sold in that unity mall. People who come as tourists to that state, they'll be able to identify the authentic product, directly go to this unity mall and buy that authentic product, whatever they want to buy. So this is pillar 6, whatever we saw. Then 7 is financial sector. Credit guarantee scheme for MSMEs. This actually was created as a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat package. Atmanirbhar Bharat, what does it mean? Self-reliant India, but why did we create it?
To reduce the imports.
It is actually a package that was created as a, you can say, relief package for COVID, and that is what we called as Atmanirbhar. I mean, meaning of Atmanirbhar is self-reliant, but the context of Atmanirbhar is actually to come out of COVID recession. We were spending more money, and where we want to spend this money, we want to spend it to make India more self-reliant by building infrastructure and focusing on more on export, all these type of things. So that is what is called Atmanirbhar Bharat. And in Atmanirbhar, we introduced this credit guarantee for MSMEs. Our goal here is crowding in of investment. What does it mean when we say crowding in? We saw what is crowding out. Crowding out means what?
Taking the best of the
When government takes too much loans from the banking system, less money is available to be given as loans for private sector. This is called crowding out. So crowding in is opposite. More money should be available for private sector to take as loans, and easily loans should be available. Easy credit for private sector is crowding in. Whatever government takes measures in this regard is crowding in. Imagine right now bank wants to give loan to MSME. Right now government says, I am going to guarantee this loan. That means banks will give more such loans or not? Yes. And what about the risk of this loan? Will it be high or low for the bank? It will be low, because if this MSME does not pay, who will pay? Government will pay. This is the meaning of a guarantee. If MSME is unable to pay, then government will pay this loan. When risk reduces, what happens to interest rates? Interest rates will also reduce, because bank is thinking about risk return ratio, and if risk is lower, they will also give lower interest rate loans. So you can see credit guarantee scheme for MSMEs was revamped and will take effect from 1st April through infusion of 9,000 crores in the corpus. Government has added 9,000 crores here. This will enable additional collateral free guaranteed credit of 2 lakh crore. How is it possible that using 9,000 crore loan, 2 lakh crore loan is given? I mean 9,000 crore allotment from the budget, 2 lakh crore loan is given. Because will every loan go bad? Out of the 2 lakh crore loan, you can say banks are giving, government has estimated that probably 5% approximately, that is around 10,000 crore, 9,000 crore will become NPAs, and that loan, whatever has become NPA, government will pay for the bank. You understood this? So advantage for government is, first thing, it is crowding in investment. Second thing, it need not spend too much money. Just by spending 9,000 crore, it is capable of pushing 2 lakh crore extra easily into the economy. You understood? So additional collateral fee guaranteed credit of 2 lakh crore. The cost of credit will also be reduced by 1%. Earlier loan used to be given maybe at 9% interest rate. Because of government guarantee, it will be given at 8% now. Because risk is lower, interest rate is also lower.
Please explain it once more, like converting 9,000 to.
Okay. So government, how much money is it keeping aside right now? Is only 9,000 crores. By keeping aside 9,000 crore, government is saying, I am going to give a guarantee for 2 lakh crore loans that will be given to MSMEs. Imagine 2 lakh crore loans are given to MSMEs for 10 years. In the next 10 years, out of this 2 lakh crores, probably some 7,000 crore, 8,000 crore, maybe 10,000 crore will become NPAs and they don't come back. Only that amount of money government has to pay to the banks. Government need not bother about the remaining whatever comes back. Government has estimated, done some calculations and estimated we need only 9,000 crores to give guarantee for 2 lakh crore worth of loans. You understood this?
If there are NPS above that 9,000 crores, the government will pay.
Yes, if there is above this, then they have to add extra money later. Right now, based on existing estimates, this much is enough. Imagine this plan does not work out. Maybe 20,000 crore goes bad. Extra 11,000 crores later they will add from next year's budget or whenever it goes bad.
Like in the era of the COVID, there was like a global resilient infrastructure, China, I think. Something like to cut off the dependence from China. So the group of the countries, they created this like grouping. So was India also part of that grouping?
Global resilient
I am
infrastructure.
not recalling
Okay.
exactly what I have read, but like getting some glimpses.
About global grouping, I am not sure, but India wanted to reduce.
Some countries were there and they have created a group so that they will not depend upon China and the countries who are
Okay.
like major exporting countries for the world.
About, like I said, grouping, I am not sure, but India is also aligned with the same goal, that we want to reduce dependence not only on China. In fact, we want to reduce dependence on no country we should have dependence. Earlier we used to have NAM. NAM means non-aligned movement. We are neither dependent on USA, USSR. Now we have shifted to NAM 2.0, also called as MAM, multi-aligned movement. Multi-aligned means strategic autonomy. Basically, we don't want dependence on any country.
It's supply chain resilience initiative.
Okay, supply chain resilience initiative, I am not sure about that. You can check if India is a part of it or not. But the goal of supply chain resilience is still relevant in India, and that means that is why to achieve strategic autonomy, what do? We try to make deals with multiple countries. Imagine as of now we are dependent only on maybe few countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE are supplying fuel to us. We are trying to diversify it to maybe 16 to 20 countries, so that even if one country is unable to supply, there will always be other countries who will always be able to supply. That means when we diversify, our dependence on one country reduces and we will achieve strategic autonomy. That is the basic, you can say, idea right now with regard to India. They are doing using existing mechanisms itself. Corporation DICGC is, I think this is done by, I don't know whether this is done by DICGC. Partial credit guarantee scheme and other lot of other credit guarantees are being done through DICGC only. So some schemes directly government itself will promise this 2 lakh crores whatever banks are giving, we will do it. Some schemes they are going through partial, this DICGC. They are not setting up for this scheme, they are not setting up a separate corporation. Then financial information registry. So it will be set up to serve as central repository of financial and ancillary information. Central repository means we will create one database which will maintain all the financial information of all the people at one place, so that if you want to create any actionable, you can say, intelligence from this, that means once we do analysis we will come to realize in India what percentage of population you can say are getting how much income, wealth, how much they are paying as tax. To identify all these type of things, if we have all the financial information at one place, it will be useful. It will facilitate efficient flow of credit, promote financial inclusion, foster financial stability. Once we have data, proper data at one place, taking policy decisions also will become much easier. Then they will become data based policy decisions. That means data enabled decisions. If we don't have, in the lack of data, it will just depend upon shooting in the dark. It is like we don't have enough data but just take decisions. If we create this sort of registry, then all these decisions can be taken based on data. A new legislative framework designed in consultation with the RBI will govern this credit public infrastructure. So they want to create, you can say, a new law which will restrict this access to who can access this financial information. Only if government feels that it will not create any negative impact, it will allow maybe some financial institutions, banks, to what extent they can access, how we can avoid personal information from being misused. All these type of things will be introduced into a new law that will be created in consultation with RBI.
So it will get linked with that the proposed personal data information.
Yeah, so it will have a bearing on this. Personal data, how we are protecting, that is in personal data, and in this financial information registry it has to comply with any laws we have made with regard to personal data and you can say privacy. So this is with regard to financial information registry. Then small savings schemes. To commemorate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, one time new small savings scheme, Mahila Samman Savings Certificate. This was created, so 2-year period up to March 2025. So you can see Mahila Samman Savings Certificate means it is oriented towards women. They can buy this particular savings certificate. So we already know about small savings schemes. Government is directly taking loans from people instead of going through RBI. Interest rate for this will be slightly higher. Fixed rate of interest 7.5%. You can see That means if you put the money as a deposit in the bank, hardly you get 4%. Here you are getting 7.5%. So this is the meaning of small savings scheme. We already seen a lot about this. It will go into public account of India. It is a liability of government. Later it has to pay back. And also because of competition from small savings fund, monetary transmission is not happening. All these type of you can say aspects we have seen in other topics. This will offer deposit facility up to 2 lakh in the name of women or girls, fixed interest rate of 7.5%. Partial withdrawal option is given. In the middle, if you want to withdraw before it matures, then partially you can withdraw. So this is a new small savings scheme they have released. Here I have just given whatever is important in the budget, you can say we have discussed. In this area I have just given some trends or some miscellaneous aspects in the budget which have been mentioned. Capital outlay has been provided for railways in the highest ever outlay, about 9 times outlay made in 13-14. So that means outlay for railways we have increased. In railways, basically every year we are trying to give more outlay. Investment in railways actually brings good results, good revenues for government in the future. So that is the reason why railways is also one of the infrastructure expenditure. Most of the infrastructure expenditure in India goes into roadways, railways, ports, airways means maybe airports they will build, and waterways. This is majority of logistics and infrastructure expenditure that we are doing. In that, actually biggest expenditure will go mostly towards railways, because most of the, you can say, rails that we have, trains are different. Rails means the infrastructure underlying rails, they are old and they are nearing their end of life stage. They were laid by British and we have to replace them now, and slowly you can say this replacement is happening. In railway, right now safety is one priority, high priority, because we are trying to identify safety problems, fill up all these safety related jobs which are vacant, etc. And for this safety, in the last 2-3 budgets we have spoken about, they have spoken about railway safety also. I think you would have heard of Setu Bharatam project. Biggest actual threat of railway safety is number of people that are dying because of railway accidents. If you see, the top number of death is happening not of people who are inside the train. People who are crossing this, you can say, railway lane, they are the ones who are dying. So we found that if we have to avoid this top one, if we have to remove this part, then what we should do is we need to have manned level crossings. Manned means somebody should be there. If the train is going, somebody should close the gate, open the gate. In some areas we have unmanned level crossings. Unmanned means the train is also going, people are also going, then it will lead to, you can say, this sort of accidents. So wherever unmanned level crossing is there, what we are trying to do is Setu Bharatam means we are either building a bridge on top of this railway line or underpass under this railway line, so that we can avoid this. Structurally we can completely remove this possibility of accident. So that is Setu Bharat.
Another technology thing was also suggested in that the wagons regarding the braking system as well.
Correct. So with regard to braking system, in one more with regard to safety is Luke Hoffman coaches have been suggested. Coach change we are trying to do. New coaches. Usually whenever a train goes for a sudden brake, as of now whatever coaches are there, they have the property of stacking. One coach will climb on top of the other coach, people will be jumbled inside. So that means to prevent this. And one more property of existing coaches, the coach itself will fly into the air. So to prevent this, Luke Hoffman have safety features to stop both of these. You can say it will attach to the rail itself, it will not come out, even if you can say it is braking suddenly, and it will not stack one on top of the other. This will prevent actually majority of safety issues associated with it. This is Luke Hoffman, LUCHOFFMAN. This is a new type of coach that Indian Railways is introducing.
Most of the passenger lines are still not broad gauge.
Yeah, so this narrow gauge, broad gauge difference, that part we have not been able to address, that is still there. That is a problem in railways. Then, Bharat Shared Repository of Inscriptions. Bharat Shri will be set up in Digital Epigraphy Museum. Digitization of 1 lakh ancient inscriptions in the first stage. Epigraphy means it is study of inscription. There was once a question with regard to numismatics means coins, epigraphy means inscriptions. It is related to art and culture, ancient history, and because it is in news, you can say some possible question which is associated with art and culture and ancient history related to coins or inscriptions is possible. So you can think of what is important in those static subjects and study those chapters. There is a possibility. Outlay for PM Awas Yojana is being enhanced. Awas Yojana is for what? Housing. So when we increase outlay for housing, our objective here is we want development to happen at the same time. As people spend more money on housing, earlier I have discussed that more than 100 sectors are linked back to housing, and more people as they invest in housing, then demand in all these sectors will also increase, creating a virtuous cycle. That is the objective here. 50 additional airports, heliports, water aerodromes and advanced landing grounds will be revived for improving regional air connectivity. In India, air connectivity between metro cities is decent, it is already good. What we want to do is, you can say, increase this to tier 2, tier 3 towns and regional areas also we want to increase. So for that, we are trying to create all these heliports, water aerodromes, landing grounds, etc. 100 critical transport infrastructure projects for last and first mile connectivity for ports, coal, steel, fertilizer. So this last mile connectivity means what? We are talking about where it has to be delivered. We have some railway line or something until a particular location, but once we drop the goods at this particular location, still last mile is maybe 50 kilometers away or 100 kilometers away. Last mile means where it has to be finally delivered. That is last mile connectivity. So for this, transport infrastructure projects means for this whatever last mile connectivity improvement will happen, for that we will choose the projects and we will provide them. So this will be taken up in priority with 75,000 crore, 15,000 crore from private sources. So for last mile connectivity in cities, for example, in Bangalore you can rent some electric vehicle in every metro station and park it in any other metro station. This is example for last mile connectivity project that government has done. So that means once you get down from metro, if your house is still 3 kilometers away, you can rent that for 3 rupees per kilometer or something and take it. Then again whenever you get it back, it will be charged. In any metro station you can drop. So this way, this is last mile connectivity. Same thing, we want to do some innovative idea for movement of goods in the last mile. You understood? Battery energy storage systems with capacity of 4,000 megawatt hours to be supported with viability gap funding. In India, like I said, battery storage is a big problem. Not only in India, in fact, entire world is searching for that solution which will store huge amount of electricity, grid scale electricity. So we don't yet have any cheap solution, efficient solution for storage of electricity. Nobody has invented it yet. So if anybody wants, as of now it is costly, and that is why nobody is investing. So viability gap funding means government will give a little bit of grant, 20% grant, and people will invest 80%. And if that makes some projects profitable, then they will be interested. So private player, to bring more interest from private players to invest in battery storage, that is why government says we will give viability gap funding. Under this VGF scheme, maximum 20% of the project cost is given as viability gap by government. You understood? It is given as a grant to the project. Then 20,700 crore central support for interstate transmission system for evacuation and grid integration of 13 gigawatt renewable energy from Ladakh. That means in Ladakh basically they are producing more renewable energy and we are trying to create interstate transmission and evacuation. We are trying to link it back to existing main grid. About 6-7 years back, southern grid was linked to the whole of India, and now Ladakh, because it has been made into union territory, we have that grid also is now being linked back to major, you can say, remaining part of India. So right now we are in the process of creating one nation, one grid. That means total India will be linked to the same grid. So this is some miscellaneous aspects in the budget. Then coming to direct tax reforms. Direct tax we have already seen. What does it mean when we say direct tax? Incidence and impact is on the same person, then we call it as direct tax. Rebate limit in the new tax regime has been increased to 7 lakh. That means people, imagine a person who has income of 6.5 lakh. This person need not pay tax. Only when your income exceeds 7 lakh, then you have to pay tax. But if your income is 10 lakh, that is different. It is not that until 7 lakh you don't need to pay tax. For you, it is different. Like I said, you can see up to 3 lakh there is no tax because your income is much higher. Only if your income is less than 7 lakh, you are exempted from tax up to 7 lakh. You understood? If your income is much higher, then you are exempted from tax only up to 3 lakh. And after that, you have to pay tax 5% and 10%, same thing. You understood? So this exemption, whatever they have created, it is applicable for who? It is applicable for relatively poorer sections who are earning their income overall only up to 7 lakh. And for remaining people, imagine a person is earning 50 lakh, for them exemption is still only up to same 2.5 lakh is current income slab. Proposed income slab they have created is 3 lakh. That means up to 3 lakh there is no tax. Beyond 3 lakhs you can say 5% tax to up to 6 lakh, 6 to 9 lakh 10%. This is basically you can say proposed income slab. You understood this? Then income of authorities, boards, commissions set up by union states for housing, town, village development will be exempt from income tax. They are government boards only. So government taxing its own income is not, you can say, making any sense. They earlier forgotten to given this exemption maybe. Now they have given in this budget. So this is existing government boards for housing, they are exempted. Then Agniveer fund has been exempt status. Payments received by Agniveer is also in Agnipath scheme exempt from tax. What does it mean when we say this exempt? First exempt is when we invest the money, capital invested. Then imagine we get some returns, that is on the returns also there is no tax. And once maturity of this happens and finally we withdraw the money, and on that stage also there is no tax. Then we call it as triple E, exempt.
Otherwise it's EET.
Yeah, so other PF funds and such other things, whatever you are adding, imagine you are getting salary and you are adding provident fund, that is EET. EET means when you invest it no tax, when you get returns no tax, but maybe 30 years later when you retire, 40 years later you try to withdraw it, at that time they will tax it. You understand? That is EET. Instead of exempt, if there is T, there is tax.
It's EET like working now or like to your operation. EET is working now or going to be operational in the current time.
EET is already there, in many cases it is there. So in particularly wherever investment schemes are there, so most of them are, you can say EET, ETT are also there. So they are all different categories. And for this Agniveer fund we have given all complete exemption, that is EEE. Nowhere it will be taxed. Agnipath scheme, I think you would have already seen in news, some extra, I have just given so that you will get a revision of that particular scheme. Okay, triple E means, imagine you are investing in something, wherever you are investing in shares, stocks or this particular fund or buying bonds, whatever it is. When you invest, there is no tax on that investment. In some countries when you invest itself they will collect tax. In India also when you invest in cryptocurrency 1% tax is cut immediately. This is investment. After investment, imagine you will get returns, maybe you will get interest or return profit or something. On that profit mostly usually there will always be tax, but here on that profit also there is no tax. And if there is no profit on the tax, usually maturity amount means when you withdraw finally everything, at that time at least there will be tax. In majority of the cases in PF funds, provident funds, such other things, there is tax when you withdraw, but here there is no tax on even withdrawal also. This is on investment. Okay, tax slab. Okay, that is if a person's income is less than 7 lakh, then they are exempt from tax. Imagine your income right now is 7 lakh, it will now go to 10 lakh. From 7 lakh to 10 lakh if you jump, you have to pay tax. How much tax should you pay? How is it calculated? Up to 3 lakhs, you will pay 0 tax. 3 lakh to 6 lakh, you will pay 5% tax. That means on this 3 lakh, 5% is 15,000. And now 6 lakh to 9 lakh, 10% tax. That means 30,000. And remaining 1 lakh whatever is there, that is 15%. This is how they will calculate.
This calculation is for old tax regime or new tax regime?
This is only in new tax regime only. In old tax regime, whatever slabs are there, they have changed it only in new tax regime, I think, right? They have not changed in old tax regime. Old tax regime, they have just kept it as it is. Many people are slowly jumping from old tax regime to new tax because they have given a choice for people to, if you want, you can jump to new tax regime. So, this is direct tax related reforms. Okay. This old tax regime, new tax regime is not very important for exam. I mean, this whatever exemption, whatever is there, just for your, this type of questions are rarely asked. Just for your understanding, I have just given here. So this factual information is not important at all. What is analytical aspect here? Right now, because they have given exemption up till 7 lakh, there are many people in India who are actually between 2.5 lakh to 7 lakh. And all those people don't need to pay tax. Then what happens because of this? Tax base will reduce. Government's tax collection that will come from direct tax are going to reduce. Then why they have done it? Because next year there is election, that is why they have done it. That means it is more like a populist scheme so that they will be able to get votes. It is not good economics, but it is good politics. But if you want to rationalize it as economic decision, then you could say that it will lead to increase in disposable income and it will lead to creation of virtuous cycle. You understood? So apart from that, other analytical aspect is not there in that.
So when we say tax base, do we mean for number of person registered for the income tax, like income tax website, or the number of people actually paying income tax?
Tax base is not in number of people. How are we calculating it? Amount of money earned by the people who are eligible to pay tax. You understood? Amount of money, imagine totally 100 people are there in India. Out of that 30 people are eligible to pay tax because they are already above this tax slab. And how much money are they earning? That is tax base. So tax base is amount of money, first thing. Who is earning this money? People who are eligible to pay tax are earning this money. That is called tax base. You understood? Okay. So coming to indirect tax reforms. There are some exemption from duties given. Compressed biogas contained in blended compressed natural gas. On biogas they have given duty exemption. Why they have given? What is the advantage? More, it will become cheaper. More people will buy it. If more people will buy it, we can boom. Circular economy will be promoted. More recycling will happen. So that is the advantage. Testing agencies that import vehicles, automobile parts, components, subsystems. If they are taking it for testing, for that we have removed import duty because they are not trying to sell it and make profit there. They are only doing it for testing. More testing should happen in India. As of now, that type of you can say testing it is not happening much. We want to encourage this sector. That is why we have removed this duty here. Then denatured ethyl alcohol used in chemical industry. This denatured alcohol, possible question in prelims. What is denatured alcohol? Ethyl alcohol, everybody knows. Normal ethyl alcohol is alcohol. Whatever people are drinking in whiskey and rum is ethyl alcohol. Denatured means if you want to make sure people will not drink it, you will add some things which you make it non-edible, which you will not be able to drink. That is called as denaturing it. So it refers to alcohol products adulterated with toxic or bad tasting additives. Methanol is toxic. If methanol is added, then if people drink it, people will die. And in fact, many people have died by smuggling alcohol transported through trains, industrial alcohol, which has been added with methanol. They did not know whether it is denatured or not denatured. So initial times actually denatured alcohol has killed thousands of people. After that, government came up with a measure. Whenever alcohol is denatured, you should also color code it. It should become blue color. And to add that blue color, additive added is indicated by adding this blue color. It is called as methyl violet, which is added into this to make it blue in color, so people will not drink it. You understood? So what usually they add is methanol. Apart from that, benzene, pyridine, castor oil. So if they have added other things, castor oil and such will only create diarrhea. But if they drink methanol added, then people will die. So these are basically added, making it unsuitable for human consumption. Coloring agent methyl violet is used. You understand? So this is the meaning of denatured alcohol. So here why they have removed this, you can say customs duty or reduced customs duty, and particular reason is given. In importance level it is not very high, but if you know it, it is better. Maybe if they ask a question on it, you can eliminate it somewhere. So I have just given it. It is a factual type of information. Now coming to where the rupee comes from and where the rupee goes to. This is analytical aspect important. This shows us what is the source of income for government. Where the rupee comes from means, you can see how much money government is earning, 45 lakh crores it is earning, 45 lakh crores it is spending. Where is this 45 lakh crores coming from? That is basically where the rupee is coming. The biggest, actually as of now you can see the biggest amount of money is coming from where? Borrowing. Why are we borrowing so much? What does it tell us if we are borrowing a lot? It means that we are in fiscal expansion, we are following an expansionary policy, we are taking a lot of loan and spending all that money in the economy so that we can create a virtuous cycle. That is basically why we are taking so much of borrowing. And after that, where else are we getting this money? You can see corporation tax is what type of tax? It is direct tax, and GST is indirect tax. Corporation tax, income tax, both are direct taxes. This is individuals paying it, this is companies paying it. 30% is coming from both of these put together, and you can see 17 and 7, this is indirect tax. 17% is coming from GST, which is a major chunk of indirect tax. Excise duty means what? On imports. On imports we are collecting 7%, GST is 17%. Okay, excise is actually, we are talking about excise is on production of mostly oil. That means petrol and diesel excise as of now is still present. That is excise duty. Customs duty is here. Customs duty is on import of goods. In India actually, yeah.
In India, so currently excise duties will be calculated on those products which are not included in GST. Na?
Correct.
Because rest of them are included GST only.
Yes, all excise is not, you can say, included in GST. Apart from GST, whatever else is there, only that is added into excise duty. So most of the excise we are collecting as of now, central government is collecting is only on petrol and diesel. I think this petrol and diesel actually, with regard to this excise duty, there is one conceptual aspect. Oil prices used to be very high earlier, especially during 2000s, during Manmohan Singh era entirely mostly it was high, and 2012 it became very high because of cartelization among oil producers. Cartelization means collusion. That means all the producers came together, they said let us reduce production so that prices will increase. And as oil production can say reduces and prices of oil increases, what happens in India? Imagine oil produce increase triple, or you can say oil prices have doubled during this time. What would happen in India? Current account deficit is one problem. Then inflation. What type of inflation is this? This is stagflation, because there is no growth happening here, but inflation will happen drastically. And so much of inflation, if it happens, it creates serious problems in the economy. So in 2012, Manmohan Singh government, what it did was, it gave big subsidies on oil. By giving subsidies, it avoided Indian economy entering into a strong, stagflationary type of situation. To give subsidy, you can say previous government took lot of loans, sold bonds and got that money, and by giving money, by taking this loan, it tried to reduce the price of oil. And after this, when Modi government came to power 2014, and after 2014, in 2014 we wanted to sign Paris deal, every country was trying to sign Paris deal. Once we signed Paris deal, what would happen to, imagine every country signs Paris deal, it was becoming more and more clear to every country like Paris deal is not like Kyoto Protocol, it will be probably successful. And people started recognizing this fact that Paris deal will be successful. Then they realized that we cannot continue to produce and sell oil forever, because there is a limit on how much oil we can actually produce. Why? Because if you produce unlimited oil, then unlimited carbon dioxide is released. But Paris deal says that you can only release this much carbon dioxide. Then what happens to demand for oil in the long run? If demand for oil reduces, what happens to prices of oil? It was going to fall. So oil producing countries felt that right now it is not a good idea to reduce production. It is a good idea to increase production, because before Paris deal comes into force, or maybe at least in the next decade we should maximum amount of oil should be sold, because after that probably we will not be able to sell as much oil. And so every country, in fact US actually became largest producer of oil, largest consumer of oil, largest exporter of oil became, you can see, US only. They surpassed even Saudi Arabia also, because they wanted to sell as much oil as quickly as possible. And so when so much of oil is produced in the economy, what happens to oil prices? Oil prices crashed, and it became from $120 they came to $40. And Modi had become PM by then. He said, it is because of my horoscope oil prices have crashed. And after this, what government did was, we could have reduced in India also these oil prices, but government felt that we have to pay back those loans that were taken earlier to give subsidy on oil, and they imposed excise duty, and that is this excise duty. That means worldwide oil prices are lower, and in India we have reduced it a bit compared to earlier, but still a lot of taxes are imposed on oil. This shift that has happened with regard to oil prices is a permanent shift. It is not a temporary shift, because of climate change as a reality. You can say production of oil is only going to increase and oil prices have permanently reduced. Any change that happens, any increase because of Ukraine-Russia war, oil prices have increased, that is a temporary shift only. Once the war settles, going back to normal would be, you can say, lower oil prices. You understood?
Windfall taxes because of that.
Yeah, so windfall tax also I have added as a part of this miscellaneous topics, we will discuss that. So this excise duty, government collected enough money and they paid back all the loans. They felt that now anyway people are not complaining about this excise duty, they continued it. And right now they are continuing, they already paid back all the loans taken by UPA government. Now what they are doing is they are using this money for building infrastructure, which is still good for the economy, but one problem is, because they have not reduced this excise duty much, inflation that is earlier when there was no Ukraine-Russia war and then it was fine, but right now this war is creating increase in oil prices and excise duty, if it is still there, then it will lead to inflation in India. You understand? So right now they have reduced it a little bit, but still it is there. So this is excise duty. So this is union excise duty, and customs duty is on imports, whatever we are importing, you can say that is customs duty. Then what else is remaining? Non-debt capital receipt. Now you can see receipts means money is incoming. Capital receipts means some impact is there on assets or liabilities. Non-debt means we are not taking a loan. If there has to be some impact on assets or liabilities, liability means debt, non-debt means it has to be something related to sale of assets. When we sell assets, we are receiving some money, that is what we call non-debt capital. That means they are talking about disinvestment in a different form, non-debt capital receipt. You understood? So this is the meaning of non-debt capital receipt. Then non-tax receipts we already saw. Non-tax receipts means administrative revenue, non-tax revenue, advertising revenue, by sale of tickets in train, all these type of things, whatever government gets, that is non-tax receipts. You understood? In this, what is a possible question that can be asked? In India, indirect tax that is collected is higher than direct tax. This is true or false? False, because you can see direct tax, income tax and corporation tax put together is 30%, but indirect tax 17%, 7%, and even if you add this also, it is still lesser than, you can say, direct tax. You understood? Major source of income for Indian government is, you can say, in the form of tax is GST as a tax. You can say GST, after that corporation tax, income tax, in order you can remember, you can say maybe 3 or 4 taxes. If there is a question like this, arrange this in order or something, you should be able to answer that. Then rupee goes to where expenditure is actually happening. This is where rupee is going to. So you can see highest amount of expenditure is happening where? Interest payment. Why we are paying so much interest? Because we have borrowed so much since last 8 to 10 years because of all expansionary policy. Debt to GDP ratio, encasing had recommended it should be around 60%, but we have increased it so that it is almost it is 90% now. That means debt to GDP ratio is 90%. If so much of debt is there, obviously we have to pay a lot of interest or not. So how to reduce debt to GDP ratio? Either you reduce debt or you increase GDP. Both will reduce debt to GDP ratio. So that is, both of them we are trying to do, increase growth and somehow pay back these loans. This is one, interest payment. Then after that, second highest is, okay, share of states taxes and duties. So this part, here you have to understand with regard to taxes, there are some taxes that union government will tax and union government will collect and use. There are other taxes, state government will tax, state government will collect and use. There are some taxes, union government will only tax, but then it has to give it to the state governments. Just for uniformity and ease of taxing and collection, union government has been given by the power by the constitution, that union government will tax this and collect it, but who will be able to use it? Only states will be able to use it. And that is basically states' share of taxes and duties that union has collected. So that part will be given, you can say, to states. This is going as expenditure because union has collected and it will be given to states. Whose tax is actually this is? It is states' part. So you can see state share of taxes and duties. So then apart from this, there is also one more type of money that they will give to states, that is finance commission and other transfers. What exactly is finance commission? Finance commission is, it is a constitutional body. What is its job? To recommend distribution, how much money has to be given to states. It is called as balancing wheel of Indian federalism. In India we have federalism which is somewhat skewed, somewhat imbalanced. Which one is more powerful between center and states? Center. That is why it is called quasi-federation. Sometimes this imbalance becomes too much and it creates problems. To balance it out, finance commission comes into picture and reduces this imbalance. That is why it is called as balancing wheel of Indian federalism. So what does finance commission do? Finance commission actually says, see, center has collected more money. It is actually center's own tax. State has collected less money. Some amount of money of center's own money of its own taxes under 7th scheduled union list, that money has to be given to states to reduce this imbalance. This is originally center's tax, whereas this part is originally state's tax. You understood this? So this originally center's tax, a share of it is asked by finance commission to be given to states. As of now, 41% of divisible pool is given to states according to 15th finance commission report. You understood? This is
Commission has no role in that 18%.
no, that is, you can say, already decided by constitution. In the constitution itself they have written. All these taxes are actually states taxes but are collected by the center and then finally given to states. This one. 41%. Yes, 41% of divisible pool means whatever has come into center's part. Totally center has collected, that will be called divisible pool. From divisible pool, indivisible pool, what will not be included also is written down by finance commission. Cess and surcharge are not part of divisible pool. This part we have already seen. Remaining everything whatever center has collected, that is part of divisible pool. Divisible means we divide it among state and center. Finance commission will give recommendation, 41% of money is given to states. And this is, you can say, finance commission and other transfers. So then after this we have central sector and centrally sponsored schemes. Anybody knows what is the difference between them? Central sector scheme means fully sponsored by center. Centrally sponsored means they will be, see, some sort of sharing will be present, 50-50, 60-40 or something. So, but why they have created this sort of a division? In one of the classes I told you, right, basically, correct. So there is union list, union list, state list and concurrent list. Among this, who can make law and who can execute law, we already saw. Union can make law on union list and concurrent list. Here here state can also make law. Here here states makes law and here parliament makes law. Think of it like this. Union subject, parliament makes law. State subject, state makes law. Concurrent subject, both can make law. But execution, who will do it? Union subject, you can say, union bureaucracy will actually implement it. State subject, state bureaucracy will implement it. Concurrent subject, state bureaucracy will only implement it. And that means these two subjects, union government has not been given power by the constitution to implement it. Who will implement it is only state bureaucracy. When union government wants to create any scheme on these two subjects, concurrent list subject and state subject, union government cannot execute it. The best it can do is only sponsor it by giving money. These type of things are called as centrally sponsored schemes. They are sponsored because union government cannot execute them. You understood this? And you can now imagine central sector schemes means they are originally unionist subjects, union bureaucracy is executing them, that is why you can say they are central sector. Originally central schemes are which one? Centrally sponsored or central sector scheme? Central sector schemes, because they are there in union list. Sponsored are actually states list type of things. You can see centrally sponsored schemes is only 9% money they are giving, central sector 17%, because originally central schemes they will give more money for themselves, and for states just a support. Original responsibilities of the state, center is only supporting them. You understood the difference between centrally sponsored and central sector scheme?
सर यूपीएससी तो दोनों का कर रही है सर, स्टेट का भी वो करती है इम्प्लीमेंट और इसका भी सेंटर का भी.
Central bureaucracy, state bureaucracy is different. Central bureaucracy means in Delhi, in central secretariat, there is a separate agency. Union Home Ministry, Union Agriculture Ministry, Union Defense Ministry, is a separate bureaucracy, right? And state bureaucracy means Uttar Pradesh state legislature or Uttar Pradesh state government will have its own, you can say, ministries and departments.
At the ground level, they both are same.
Ground level also.
Big level, if we look, then ISA has 54 departments, so they are complement of state government and union government.
Which one?
So जैसे IAS officer होता है उसके पास.
Okay, IAS. So IAS actually is a part of state bureaucracy. That means majority of IAS will always be part of state bureaucracy. They will come to union bureaucracy on deputation. That means union government will take these IAS officers, put it in their bureaucracy. Only then they will come. Most of if you get into IAS, first you will go into state bureaucracy only. You will get a cadre. Caderization means you will find your career will be in that state. But if you want to come to union government, you can be deputed for 5 years, 10 years. If center keeps extended, then more years also. But ultimately, you are actually belonging to the state bureaucracy only.
सर ये जो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज का टैक्सेस कलेक्ट होता है इनकम टैक्स, तो वो सेंटर कलेक्ट करता है.
State governments.
इनकम टैक्स स्टेट गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज विच आर अर्निंग जो सैलरी होता है उनका सेंटर इज कलेक्टिंग द टैक्स, तो वो स्टेट शेयर ऑफ टैक्स ड्यूटीज में जाएगा जब सेंटर में स्टेट्स को ट्रांसफर करेगा.
Income tax actually is a direct tax collected by center only, not only of government employees, of everybody. Center will only collect it. So, I mean,
स्टेट का शेयर होगा.
no, income tax, whether it is of government employees, of anybody, private, corporate tax and income tax are purely collected only by central government. No state government has authority to collect income tax. So, it is actually center's tax. Once it is collected, then it will come to divisible pool. Finance Commission will divide it and it will send. So, you understood what is Finance Commission and other transfers. Then central sector scheme and central sponsoring scheme, this difference also you understood. So, advantage of knowing this is when you are going through this, you can say polity, 7th schedule, just go through the list once. No need to remember all the names in the list. But you will get a sense of why probably they would have introduced a particular subject in union list. Maybe they needed uniformity, maybe something you can say center should control, why probably. If you can analyze it like this, then it will stick to your mind. You don't have to recall it, just when a question is asked, think about what is this scheme, what is the subject probably behind this scheme, and is that subject in union list or in state or concurrent list. If it is in probably state list or concurrent list, then it is what type of a scheme? It should be centrally sponsored scheme. You understood this?
So in that finance commission division pool, what all taxes are there? Like is GST also there?
GST, no, it will not be there because GST has already been divided into state GST, CGST. CGST part goes to center, SGST part goes to state in the beginning itself. So that will not come under divisible pool.
Like the compensation of GST?
That is not going to center anyway. So they will not divide it. They have already decided that states should get it. What will be there here is actual center's taxes, corporate tax and income tax and other taxes center only is collecting. Only these things are a part of, you can say, divisible pool. Then defense means you can say existing, every year we spend some money on defense. It includes both revenue expenditure, capital expenditure, both. That means normal giving salaries of, you can say, our soldiers. Along with that, capital expenditure means we may buy some tanks or aeroplanes or something. So helicopters, that is also part of it. Then subsidies. As of now, we are already giving subsidies to a lot of things like kerosene subsidy, fertilizer subsidy, input subsidies for agriculture, etc. All these subsidies will also come under this expenditure. Then what else is remaining is pensions. So we have new pension scheme only after the year 2003 or something, 2004. Before that we used to have old pension scheme, whatever was there. People who retired, people who joined at that time and are retiring, before you can say 2003, whoever have joined and are retiring, they will all still get, you can say, pension from government. And as of now, government is giving pension, 4% of money is given as pension, you can say, every year. So why we shifted to new pension scheme is also because of the same reason. India's life expectancy used to be 60 or something. People used to, average life expectancy was only that much, and they were retiring and they were dying, and the government was not giving pension. But now life expectancy has increased to 75. Government employees probably it is 85 or 90 because they have lived all good lives. So that means the person is living up to 90 means he is retiring at 60 and government has to give 30 more years of money. So they felt that it is becoming a very big liability and they are shifted to new pension scheme. You contribute it and you will get it. So right now this new pension scheme is in existence.
Is there any data that how much money is spent on the pension of this the politicians?
Politicians' pension will be minuscule because overall number of politicians are themselves less, right? Maybe the amount of money per person may be more, but overall out of 45 lakh crores, if you see how much money is spent on politicians, yes, even if one time MLA, MP also they will continue to get pension for lifetime, but because the number of people are very less, it will become, you can say, not very significant. Overall government employees in India are 3 crores, including private and public, state and center. And center's government employees are around 48 lakhs. So that means there is significant amount of people, you can say, where they have to give pension. So this is other expenditure is miscellaneous category which is not falling into any other things. These are all where government is spending money. So a broad idea of order where we are highest spending is happening where and other things, at least 3 or 4 things, top 3 or 4 things you should know. So this is where the rupee is going to. So if you want to look at which ministry is getting highest, that means ministry wise how much money we are actually spending. Ministry of Defense is actually getting the highest money. After that you can say road transport and highways, railways. So this year you can say road transport, highways and railways has, you can say, increased. But previously, before we came into the expansionary policy, it used to be that highest was Ministry of Defense, it was still there, but second was this Ministry of Consumer Affairs and third was Home Affairs. These two have been added here means we are increasing our capital expenditure on infrastructure so much that they have become second and third priority. This slide shows what are the overall priorities of government currently. What is it trying to spend more money on, whatever it is considering important, that is where it is spending there. You understood? So food and public distribution, because we have Food Security Act, we have promised that everybody will get food, you can say at such a 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 3 rupee per kg or something. Then home affairs and defense, these are necessities for India because there are existential threats to India from, you can say, countries which we already have fought wars with outside on both sides, Pakistan and China. That is why defense is important. And internal threats are also present like Naxalism and Khalistan movement and all the other type of movements. So that means we have home affairs also. So then chemicals and fertilizers, most of the money actually here is going for urea. That means production and subsidization of urea. Ministry of Rural Development, under this Kaushal Yojana, Awas Yojana, all these type of schemes with regard to rural development will come in. Agriculture and farmers welfare, this agriculture is actually a state subject. Most of the money spent here as a sponsored scheme only. That means they will just give sponsoring to whatever agriculture schemes are being already implemented in states. Some things related to research in agriculture are present in central government subjects. They can do those things. But actual implementation of agriculture schemes are all done by states. Ministry of Communications is related to spectrum and you can say those type of things. They are spending money to maintain existing spectrum and such. Major schemes, these schemes are important in your schemes document or whatever you are reading because they have given more budget to the scheme or whatever government considers flagship schemes, major schemes. These questions probably you can say are going to be important in exam. Try to read about, you can say, whatever schemes, Awas Yojana, Ekalavya we just saw already, Jal Jeevan Mission, faster adoption of, you can say, and manufacturing of electric vehicles, Northeast. So these schemes, they have given more money, and that means it is a priority area of government, that means priority area for UPSC also. Receipts and expenditure overall, this is just in numbers, it is only for your reference, it is not as important for, you can say, prelims. If you know at least 4 or 5 numbers totally, how much budget is there, how much capital expenditure, they will not ask that, but you can think of order of magnitude, okay, where is it and where they are asking this question. If total budget itself is 45 lakh crore, then they are, whatever the statement they have given is probably false. This sort of an intuition you will develop when you know some macro numbers, 5 or 6 of these numbers. Then deficit trends, we have already seen this slide earlier. I have just added everything whatever government has given as infographics, so that all budget related infographics will be there at one place. Trends in tax receipts, you can see overall tax receipts is 11.1% of GDP. That means this is tax to GDP ratio. So tax to GDP ratio of India is here, and direct tax and indirect tax, you can see indirect tax is 5.1%, direct tax is 6%. Which one is good for if we collect more of indirect tax or direct tax? Direct tax. Why?
Because indirect tax is regressive.
Because indirect tax is regressive in nature, direct tax is progressive, more it falls, burden falls more on the rich people. So that is the objective here, and that's what we are trying to do. Deficit financing, where are we actually getting the money whenever we have this deficit? First is market borrowing, you can say this is market borrowing. Then state provident fund means people have contributed, employees would have contributed, that is also a liability of government. External debt is very low, that means you can see small amount of external debt we have taken. Small savings instruments are yellow, that is also significant. Other receipts, internal debt and public account. Other receipts means all small type of, you can say, different schemes that they have created under which they have taken loans. Then drawdown of cash balance means they have taken from RBI. You can see our government will have an account in RBI, and in that some money will be present, they will withdraw that cash, that is called as drawdown of cash balance. This is basically where they are getting all this deficit money. So from here some extra terms in news and such I have given. From here we will continue in next class. So if you have any doubts from today's class, you can try to do revision once. If you get any doubts, you can ask in next class. We'll end the class here. Thank you. Probably in tomorrow's class, we will be able to discuss 15 Finance Commission Economic Survey and all these miscellaneous concepts. I think tomorrow we'll be able to cover, complete this, whatever is remaining. So, thank you.